Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's program presented by Teammate. We talk often in the end about civility and about how to promote civility in the legal profession. Tonight, we ask you to think about incivility as a virus, a contagious virus that spreads from person to person. Think about how it might spread. Think about what we might do to stop it from spreading around the world. With a virus like that, you might never know whether the person you're approaching is one of the dreaded uncivil. And you might also not know whether you have become one of the uncivil too. In such a situation, it would be appropriate to ask, are you one too?
We find ourselves in the Laurence Olivier Laboratory with our scientist talking with his assistant about his new creation.
I've done it! I've done it!
Doctor, what have you done?
I've created a better vaccine for the H1N1 swine flu. I'll call the vaccine RU13. Wait, no, I'm lucky. I'll call it RU12.
Doctor, why is that a better vaccine?
Because this vaccine includes the brain enzyme monoamine oxidase A, otherwise known as MAOA. It's the brain enzyme linked to abnormal, aggressive personality traits in normal humans. By including it, MAOA, in the vaccine, it more aggressively attacks the swine flu and wipes it out.
Well, Doctor, I can certainly understand why it's important to aggressively attack the swine flu. But aren't you concerned that this might also affect the normal reactions of human beings? I mean, according to this text, there's a high statistical probability that the enzyme could directly affect the archipelagian region of the brain, the primitive reptilian sphere responsible for survival and aggression. Doctor, aren't you concerned that this vaccine could create incivility?
Incivility? Are you kidding me? I've created a miracle cure for the swine flu, the most dreaded epidemic in modern history. At least, that's what our government told us.
But Doctor, you don't know how much aggression this can create. Don't we have to test, retest, regulate, re-regulate, retest, and retest before you release this?
I'm way ahead of you. The testing's been going on for months. I developed a test regimen with appropriate control group. Certain individuals, politicians, sports figures, rap musicians, and Supreme Court justices. And I'm pleased to report the testing is going quite well. It's been quite entertaining. And further, I happen to be a shareholder, a stockholder in TMZ Corporation and the Jerry Springer Show. And by last count, my investment's doing quite well.
Oh, Doctor, we have work to do.
Ah.
Yo, Taylor, I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish. But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time.
The reforms I'm proposing would not apply to those who are here illegally.
Masters 2 match points.
The Republican health care plan is this: don't get sick. And if you do, you better die quickly. I apologize to the dead and their families, and to you, the American people, that we've not voted to end this atrocity sooner.
Senator, you ignorant slut. Y'all's even more liberal today than you were in law school. You and your socialist buddies just want to turn America into a communist regime. And I'm here to tell you the good folks at Kentucky won't stand for it. It's time for the tree of liberty to be watered.
You don't represent the good folks of Kentucky. You represent the idiots Kentucky. You and your fellow teabaggers, your false statements about the government health care plan are mind-boggling and ridiculous. Stop being an enabler of the stupid.
Thank you. Good to have you here. Good to have you here. Well, folks, we have a great show for you tonight. Welcome to the Jerry Springer Show, where common people air common grievances. Tonight, we have an interesting show. We have Lucy Loser. Come on out, Lucy. Say hi to everybody. And we have Lucy's ex-husband, Lucky No More. Come on out, Lucky.
Hey, how you doing?
And Lucy's sister, Lauren Got Lucky. Come on out, Lauren. Wait a second. Are you both carrying his child?
Yes, I was pregnant first.
Oh, okay. Well, tell me, Lucy. You used to be happily married. What happened?
That slut stole my husband. Some devoted sister, huh? You better lose it, lady. I will punch you. Bring it.
I hope this doesn't get out of hand like it did during the commercial break. I was very disappointed in the behavior during the commercial. I'm very embarrassed that we filmed what happened during the commercial and that our producers deem it appropriate to show you, our studio audience. Please tell me when it's over. This is such embarrassing behavior, don't you agree? It's very disappointing. Now, Lauren, after all that, what have you learned from this?
That he weren't worth stealing because he's worthless?
Oh, that'll teach you to talk about my husband that way. Come here.
Oh my, oh my. Now, even though our audience is egging you on, and even though our staff offered you studio prizes to draw blood, I really hope this doesn't get out of hand because this is an educational program.
Doctor, we are receiving reports of serious problems. Your control group is out of control. The vaccine appears to be spreading to everyone, and everyone who receives the vaccine is behaving badly.
How can that be? I only gave the vaccine to the test subjects. There's no way it can jump from one individual to another and infect them.
Doctor, I don't know how it's being transferred, but the reports are that observers have noticed that when one of the control group subjects behaves badly, they appear to be rewarded rather than punished for their bad behavior. For some inexplicable reason, Doctor, when a politician behaves badly, he gets more notoriety, more campaign donations.
Donations?
And when a celebrity behaves badly, she gets more media and more fans.
Fans?
And when a reality TV contestant behaves poorly, he gets book deals, sponsorships, more commercials.
Book deals!
Doctor, it's as if the public is attracted to bad behavior. What are we going to do?
We're gonna cash in on it. There must be some way to cash in on it.
Doctor, you're missing the point. We have much work to do to find a cure for incivility, not cash in on it.
You're right. If we can identify the transfer mechanism, we can patent it. We can sell it. We can make zillions.
Doctor, let's get to work, please.
The Laurence Olivier Lab launched an immediate investigation and study. The lab confirmed that ordinary people were in fact attracted to the uncivil behavior, and that the uncivil behavior was being rewarded. The lab also learned that the uncivil behavior was transferred from one person to another by modeling and learning. The uncivil behavior spread from the control group test subjects to other people, when the other people would watch the test subjects on television, or interact with them, or work with them.
All right, settle down, settle down. Recess is over. All right. Okay, everybody, eyes on me. Okay. Now, before recess, we were discussing primary colors mixed to make secondary colors. And we learned that when you mix the primary color blue with the primary color yellow, you get the secondary color green.
You lie!
I beg your pardon?
I said you lie!
What do you mean by that, young lady?
I don't know, I just saw it on TV.
Well, sit down and mind your manners. I don't want to hear that talk from anyone in here. Okay, now as I was saying, yesterday you turned in your art assignments where you mixed a primary color with another primary color to get your own secondary color. And the person who did the best job of mixing colors was Bethany! Come on up, Bethany, get your certificate of achievement. Go, sweetie. Thank you. You know, I want to thank you, and what I really want to do, I want to thank the little... Come on. We all saw the art project, and we all know Sylvia had the best art project of all time. Rachel, you sit down immediately. Get me that. Sit back in your seat. Lisa Marie, go to the principal's office. Stop it.
Eventually, the unvaccinated people were spreading the uncivil behavior from person to person through attraction, observation, modeling, and learning. The innocent were affected, and even the occasional Girl Scout.
Oh, well, hello, little Girl Scout. Hello. How much for Thin Mints?
$4.
$4? Well, I only have a 20, so I'm going to need correct change back, please.
Hey, what the hell? Do I look like a bake teller? Next time you come prepared with the right amount of change.
Listen, you little bitch. My 20 was still considered American currency. You need to come prepared to deal with your customers or not come at all.
Screw you old lady!
And you can stick your cookies where the sun don't shine, you little shit.
Yes, incivility was spreading, but something else appeared to be happening as well. The rise of incivility also appeared to be blurring class distinctions. Respect for a person, merely because of their station in life, was subsiding. This was extremely troubling to those in positions of power, prestige, or authority. but it was welcomed by those who lacked such status. Others saw the epidemic not as a rise in incivility, but as a new era of freedom and truth. Arbitrary political correctness was gone, replaced by an honest, call it like you see it form of public discourse.
Louis, Louis,
So who is brave enough to admit that you watch reality TV? Raise your hands. You watch reality TV. Who watches what? Tell me what you watch. Anybody?
The Bachelor.
The Bachelor. Okay. What else?
Survivor.
Survivor.
America's Next Top Model.
This man needs a job. Yeah.
Project Runway.
All right.
C-SPAN.
Yes.
Top Chef, The Hills, biggest.
Anybody watch Jersey Shore?
No.
No? You won't go that far? Okay. Why are we attracted to these shows? And if we enjoy these shows, if these shows are entertaining, how can we then say we have a problem with incivility? And does that make us hypocrites?
Well, what? I mean, that's recalling.
Yeah.
That question just.
They were calling on you, buddy. Speak up.
I'm here, man.
Okay.
I'm Jim Mize. There's a lot packed in that question that you just had, but so I'll answer a question with a question, which is kind of a cowardly thing to do. But don't you think this all traces to a decline in reason? I mean, these reality shows seem to be based on irrationality, and that's very fun for us to watch when people lose their minds and go crazy and do stupid things. It actually makes me feel superior, frankly, as I look at the trailer trash on Jerry Springer show. I feel like I'm somehow above them. That's why I would like to watch it. But isn't this something that doesn't appeal to our reason and it appeals to a base emotion? It's calling out to the president that he's a liar, or these other examples we showed. It's pure emotion, and it reflects to me an overall decline in respect for reason in our society, where I think rationality needs to be cherished and rational objective discussion needs to be cherished, and there's been a general decline in that. And thank you, Mr. Mines.
Yes.
Louis, Schadenfreude aside, and which is taking joy in the misery of others. I think it's just, for a lot of people, fun to watch the antics of crazy people. And I think a lot of that is part and parcel of what we consider entertainment. The problem becomes is that when we see it applied to ourselves in everyday life, or we apply it to others, that's when I think it becomes toxic.
And can we separate it that easily?
No.
Yes.
Yeah, certainly. One of the things that I think that we're seeing is because of the anonymity of the internet. I mean, if you read the comments to the D articles or any of the articles, people are saying horrendously awful things because they're anonymous. And I have this feeling that's kind of just transferring over, and people are just acting out in the same way that they're acting out online. But they're quite frightening, some of the things that are being said out there.
Yes.
I think that part of what happens, David Allen, I think part of what happens is several things. First of all, we sometimes confuse incivility with for want of other terms, bait to violence. And I say that, I attended a lecture some years ago by the Nevada Bar Association, my psychologist out of Reno, in which he said, you know, the empirical evidence is absolutely clear. You take kids of a young age, first, second graders, you take them and you divide them and you show them violent video, and then you show one group not the violent video, and you then put them together. The kids that have been shown the violent video will act out, will be far more violent, and that's been known for years. The guys in the major media outlets know all of that, and it's been well known and well documented. So the question is, to what extent do we allow this kind of expression to begin to have an impact upon people in a formative years? But I think a bigger question that I raised when I watched the video stuff that you guys were showing is, what is incivility? That may sound like a baseline question, but we look at somebody calling out to the president and we're in disagreement with him and may yell a boo. Contrast that to what happens in Parliament. And if anybody's ever been to Parliament, you sit in the gallery up there and you hear this raucous kind of activity that takes place as people literally boo, as people say yes, right on, and various other comments that make it very clear where people are coming from. And the Prime Minister must stand in front of Parliament as the leader of his party, and then defend his position in that very raucous environment. Is that incivility? Personally, I think not. I really enjoy it.
Morrison, England. I agree with David that there's a certain amount of discourse that we should all have, but I also think that in today's society with the internet and Twittering and all that, it's condensed down to 140 characters. No one takes the time to understand what is actually being said and what you're saying right on or booing about. But I think on the other side, in England, for example, there's a certain respect, if not for the person who's speaking, but for the office. And that's my problem with people that yell out and say things to, maybe it's my, General Morrison is here someplace, but my respect for whether you agree with your commanding officer or not, you respect the rank. I respect the president, I respect the vice president, I respect the position that they're in. And a lot of this goes back in many ways to what we've done, I think, in the legal profession. We look at the Judge Judy, Judge Joe Brown, all these people, we have judges screaming from the bench, being disrespectful to the litigants. No judge that I know worth the salt would ever do that. But that's what the public sees and what the public believes and what they expect. And if they say, how many times the judges in this room have said, I'm a judge, and they go, oh, Judge Judy, Judge Joe Brown, or whatever it is, because the people want that and they expect and think that because they've seen it on TV. And that's totally against what it is. So, although I understand the free speech concept, and there's a problem though, because there's no depth to it now. We've all gone to 140 bytes, 1 30-second byte, and no one reads or understands it. So there's a real concern that I have that our civility is going farther downhill by reality and whatever, because it's now okay to yell out, you lie, it's okay to yell out no, or whatever. And that's disrespecting the office, even though you may not respect the person.
Do people in public office or public officials, people in authority, do they deserve respect just because of their position? Or do they have to earn it? Yes.
Two answers. One to the prior question.
Name?
Glenn Hansen, out of Kinderman. The people in public office deserve the respect because of their office. Period. Whether you respect what they believe or do, you can address it at that level. But I believe, like Judge Morrison, that the office itself demands respect. I want to make one quick comment about your prior question that was brought up. I think a lot of the examples of what you showed in the first half about incivility are a direct result of a breakdown of a objective standard of what is right and wrong, such that subjectivity has now dominated, so that if this bad behavior that I'm showing is going to help me at this moment, is what I think is right for me to do at this moment, I don't care what standard there is, I'm going to do it anyway. So it becomes total subjectivity, depending upon the circumstance, as to whether I should or shouldn't do it, and that derives, I believe, from a breakdown of the standard of what normally we would consider right and wrong.
And that goes, we're jumping around the issues, so I want to get to everybody if you have comments on different issues, but that goes to the question of reward. And this program is talking about that too. Do you agree that people seem to be rewarded for bad behavior lately? Yes. And there are lots of examples. There's the balloon boy, there's the people who crashed the party at the White House. If you're looking for rewards, there are ways to act badly and find the reward, yes.
Kate Larson, student associate. Well, I don't know if you'd call it reward necessarily, because I think Balloon Boy's parents, one of them had to go to jail.
Right, right. Well, they were seeking a reward.
Right, and Kanye West got slammed by everyone for weeks, but at the same time, I think people seek it because we've had this breakdown where it's just become this totally narcissistic society, and everyone thinks that they're the most important person in the world, in the room, and that they, like he was saying, just subjectively do whatever they want, because there's no we anymore, it's all like me all the time. That's what I see.
Yes.
Robert Rice, student associate. I think that going to the question of do we reward bad conduct, I think our failure is that we do not reward good conduct the way we should. Simple example, my mother raised me to open the door for any person going through a door, especially one of the female gender. And yet, many women, young and old, refuse or don't think to say, thank you. The reward, though I shouldn't open the door because I want a thank you, but not receiving that reward of acknowledgement that I'm trying to be courteous and kind might cause someone to say, well, forget it, I won't give you this kind, good gesture. It starts at something that simple, I think, and when we fail to reward larger acts of good conduct, it seems to push more in favor of, well, when I do the opposite, I seem to get more attention.
Yes.
Alan Owen, for those of you who don't recognize me, I honestly think we've lost our way completely. Because he asked if we should have respect for the office. Yes, we should absolutely have respect for the office. Unfortunately, have very little respect for most of the people in those offices because they've lost it. But at some point, entertainers became more than entertainers, and they became the leaders. I look at Rush Limbaugh, who was a joke when he was on the air here. We all used to listen and laugh, and now Rush Limbaugh leads the Republican Party. I mean, he is the voice of the Republican Party. How did that happen? How did an entertainer become the voice? And I look at, as people follow, you say the people didn't get rewarded, the little boy with the balloon. The little boy in the balloon's parents got rewarded. They got on television. They will sell their books. They will make lots of money. So somehow we've reached this point where fame and fortune are more important than being good humans. And I think that's our society in the United States now, and it just really distresses me.
Right behind you.
Paul Richardson, Judge Yellow. You read any of the political history, and recently was reading a book about Andrew Jackson, and we forget how difficult it was for those running for political office back 200 years ago or 150 years ago. Things that were said, they weren't done in the public domain as much, but in the leaflets that went out, it was brutal. Maybe even as bad as anything that we now hear that gets said. But one of the things that I admired so much about my parents' generation, the greatest generation, was the amount of restraint and the sense of shame they seem to have that current folks that have so much access to the airwaves in whatever form seem to lack. And there is, I think, what you have identified in this program, there is a contagion. When everyone is shouting, it's difficult to be restrained in your response, and yet to be able to say, I respectfully dissent when somebody says something that you feel terribly over-characterizes the situation is something we need to remember.
Over here.
Cody Drabble, student associate. I'm suspicious of any claim that there's an actual decline in civility. I think what we really have going on is that people have more access to broadcast their base impulses. It's hard to really say that nowadays folks are less respectful of the president because even the greatest generation was the same generation that dragged us through the McCarthy era. Senator Charles Sumner was beaten within an inch of his life on the Senate floor before the Civil War. John Adams and Thomas Jefferson were bad-mouthed in pamphlets all across the country. It's really, the difference is we have bigger microphones and bigger soapboxes.
Is it actually fair to say that we are actually more civil and we're less tolerant?
I think it's the same.
Of incivility, and so that's what we're seeing here? Yes.
Jeff Starsky, mayor of the city of Folsom, so I'm very familiar with making decisions and people, whatever decision you make, it doesn't matter. And your comment about people in email have gotten very, very bold. It's strange, even in my little city, you make a decision, that your city has to enforce certain laws, and they threaten to kill